Hello everyone. This is Susie and today I'll tell you a story about two people who first met when they were little kids in a hospital. But after that, they didn't see each other again for many years. When they finally met again, the girl had just moved to a new school and surprise, the boy from her childhood was studying there too. But now he wasn't that sweet little boy anymore. He had become one of the naughty troublemakers in school. Their first meeting didn't go well. They didn't even recognize each other, and the girl decided to stay away from him because he often caused problems. At school, the girl made a new friend. They became close and spent lots of time together. But her friend had a secret crush on that same boy. Sadly, the boy didn't seem to like her back. To support her friend, the girl tried to avoid the boy as much as possible. But the boy kept teasing her and finding ways to talk to her. Even though she tried to ignore him, they kept meeting again and again in different situations, as if fate wanted them to be together. The girl started to like him too. But she felt bad because her friend liked him first. She thought it would be better to hide her feelings and stay away. That made things even more confusing because her friend kept chasing the boy, and she was stuck in the middle. Then, one day, the boy surprised her by saying that he actually liked her, not her friend. What would you do if you were in her place? The story's name is Can You Hear Me? And it begins like this. A few years ago, doctors were rushing a woman on a stretcher covered with a bloody sheet through the hospital. A little boy stood there, watching quietly. That woman was his mom. He was heartbroken and felt lost, like he didn't want to live anymore. Just then, a little girl came over and asked what he was doing. She had bright, curious eyes and wore a neat dress. Seeing him so sad, she took a red strawberry candy from her small blue bag and gave it to him. She told him that, even though life feels hard now, things would get better one day. Her mom used to say that life is like a plum, sour at first, but sweet later. Before she left, the boy asked for her name. The girl smiled, pointed to the butterfly mark on her cheek, and said, "It's a secret. If fate wants, we'll meet again." Many years later, on a hot summer day, a teacher was talking to a new student named Lin Weixia, the same girl with the butterfly mark. She was now 17 years old and ready to start a new school year. When Lin entered the classroom, everyone started whispering about the pretty new girl. She introduced herself kindly, and the teacher told her to sit wherever she liked. A boy offered her the empty seat next to him. As she walked there, she heard other girls whispering that they were lucky she wasn't sitting next to a boy named Ban Heng, who was famous and popular in school. Lin sat next to a boy named Ning Cha, who told her that some students in the school, called F students, were brought there for special reasons. Lin was curious about how things worked at this new school. Later, she went to the girls' bathroom, where some girls were giggling and talking about a boy who didn't come to class that day. They said he was really into basketball and astronomy. When Lin entered, one of the girls smiled and said she didn't believe Lin would actually come to this school, but here she was. And that's how Lin's story at her new school begins. Sejia was really happy that Zia decided to study at this school. She said Zia's exam scores were amazing, almost better than the best student in the whole school. Curious, Zia asked who the best student was. Sejia blushed and said his name was Ban Heng, the same boy all the other girls had been talking about. Zia asked if he was the one who had the observatory, and Sejia nodded, explaining that his family had donated 2 buildings to the school, so the observatory actually belonged to him. Then Sejia noticed Zia was busy on her phone and asked what she was doing. Zia said she was messaging Ban Heng to give him her Chinese homework because it needed to be turned into the teacher. Excited, Sejia grabbed the phone and said she would help. She typed quickly and told Zia that the homework would be given to him on Saturday at 5 p.m. She also said she would go meet Ban Heng herself and asked Zia to help her pick out an outfit for the meeting. A few days later, on Saturday afternoon, Zia was working at an internet cafe nearby. She knew that her new school didn't allow students to have part-time jobs, so this was going to be her last day working there. While she was working, she saw 2 men start fighting inside the cafe. Zia quickly called security and said, "I'm the receptionist here, and there are people causing trouble." During the fight, someone threw an ID card onto the counter. Before leaving, one of the men said he would pay for the damages. Zia looked at the ID card and was shocked when she saw the name Van Hang on it. Realizing he might be in danger, she ran outside into the rain to find him. In a dark alley, she saw Van Hang and his friends standing over another boy who was begging them to stop hitting him. Zia shouted for Van Hang to stop. Everyone turned to look at her. When Van Hang saw her face and noticed the little butterfly mark near her eye, he froze. He suddenly remembered the girl from his childhood. Zia told him to stop hurting the boy because he was already badly injured. Van Hang lifted a metal bat onto his shoulder and told the boy that since someone was asking for mercy, maybe he could leave with his dignity. But then, before the boy could say thank you, Van Hang added that he could keep his dignity while getting hit a little more. Zia quickly grabbed his sleeve to stop him. Surprised, he looked at her. Zia asked, "Why are you using violence instead of talking?" One of the boys behind Van Hang tried to interrupt, but Van Hang stopped him. Then he dropped the bat on the ground and told the frightened boy to leave. The boy ran away, thanking him. Zia asked him, "Weren't you supposed to meet Sejia to give her the homework? What are you doing here?" Van Hang, smoking a cigarette, threw it away and said, "I don't like girls who chase me first. But if you're this interested, maybe I'll start liking you." Zia felt uncomfortable and stepped back. Then her phone rang. It was Sejia. She was crying because she had been waiting for Van Hang for 2 hours, but he never showed up. Zia quickly texted her friend and said she would come get her. Without saying another word to Van Hang, she ran away into the rain to find Sejia. The rain was pouring heavily. Zia finally found her friend crying. She put her jacket over Sejia's shoulders and said, "I'm sorry, I got stuck in traffic." Sejia hugged her tightly, still crying, and thanked her for coming. Zia gently told her, "Next time, if no one shows up, don't wait too long, okay?" Sejia nodded and said she was just bored. The two girls shared an umbrella as they walked together through the rain. After a while, Sejia stopped and said she needed to buy something. She smiled at the shopkeeper and asked if he sold a certain brand of cigarettes. The shopkeeper said they were sold out and offered another brand. Sejia laughed awkwardly and said, "Oh, that guy only likes that brand." Zia couldn't understand her friend Sejia. She thought, is a boy like Bansheng really worth all this trouble? The next day, Zia was filling her water bottle when some girls nearby started whispering about her being new at school. One of them touched her arm and noticed the blue bow on her uniform. The girl frowned and said, "Oh, I didn't know you were an F student." Zia didn't really understand what that meant, so she just said yes. The girl looked disgusted, wiped her hand with a tissue, and walked away. As they left, the other girls said, "She's pretty, but it's too bad she's just an F." Zia's classmate told her not to worry about the A students because they always acted proud and rude to F students. On the way back to class, Zia chatted with another girl who sat near Sejia. Before the girl could even say her name, Zia guessed, "You're Fong Emo, right?" Fong Emo smiled happily, surprised that Zia already knew her name. Zia then asked Fong Emo what being an F student meant. Fong Emo explained, "At our school, A students wear red bow ties and F students wear blue ones. A students come from rich families and always get high grades. F students are different. Some come from normal families, some transferred from other schools, and some don't get the best grades. So, A students think they're better than us. But most F students just ignore them." Just then, Sejia suddenly hugged Zia from behind, saying, "I've been looking for you. Let's eat lunch together." Fong Emo smiled and wished them a nice lunch as Sejia pulled Zia away. At the cafeteria, Sejia shared her lunch with Zia and said proudly, "My housekeeper made all of this." Zia handed her a drink and said, "Here, this one has less sugar, you'll like it more." Some students nearby started whispering again. "They're both really pretty," one said, "but why is Sejia eating with an F student?" Zia and Sejia ignored them and continued laughing together until Bansheng walked into the cafeteria. Bansheng's friend, who always called him brother, was angry and told Bansheng that another boy had stolen money from an old woman, even after being punished twice. But when Bansheng noticed Zia sitting there, he told his friend to stop talking about it. Sejia got super excited and whispered, "Zia, look, Bansheng's here." Zia didn't really care, but Sejia suddenly grabbed Zia's drink, saying, "He likes sweet drinks, so I'll give him this one. I'll also ask why he didn't show up last weekend." Sejia walked over to Bansheng with a big smile, humming happily. But Bansheng didn't even look at her while she talked, which annoyed Zia. Still, Sejia came back smiling, saying he accepted the drink, even though he already had one. He said he missed our meeting because something unexpected happened, so I forgave him. When Zia looked over at Bansheng, she saw him staring right back at her. He slowly poked a straw into the cup Sejia had given him and started drinking it while smiling teasingly at her. Zia quickly turned away, blushing a little, wondering if he was doing it on purpose. Later, while walking to class, Fong Emo asked what all the noise was about. A bunch of girls were fixing their makeup, saying they wanted to impress someone. When Zia looked, she realized Bansheng had come back to class. The girls were giggling and talking about him. Fong Emo told Zia, Bansheng's family is super rich, and he's smart too. He's kind of cold, but all the girls like him because of his looks and grades. People say he even has a tattoo of a black lily on his ankle. They think he got it for a girl he loves, even though tattoos aren't allowed here. She added, but he probably only likes A-grade girls. Right then, Bansheng walked over, threw a notebook on Zia's desk, and said coldly, "Here's my Chinese homework. Next time, send someone else to collect it." The whole class went silent. Everyone was shocked that the famous Bansheng actually talked to an F student like Zia. Even Sejia looked excited, though Zia herself didn't say a word in reply. Zia put her notebook away, feeling a bit annoyed. Bansheng's rude tone reminded her of how he spoke that night before. Just then, a voice came from the school loudspeaker asking all students to go to the field for a motivational meeting. They also said the student council would check everyone's uniforms and behavior. As everyone headed to the field, Fong Emo noticed Zia wasn't wearing her ID badge. Zia turned back to the classroom to look for it, asking her friend to wait on the field. The hallways were empty as she walked around searching for it, wondering how she lost it. Then, she suddenly saw a pair of white shoes stop in front of her and a black lily tattoo on the leg. It was Bansheng. He smiled a little and held something out. "Looking for this?" he asked. It was her ID badge. Zia thanked him, but before she could finish, he leaned in and said, "I didn't find your old one, I made a new one." He smiled proudly and added, "You owe me $12 for that," before walking away. Zia stood there, her heart racing. She didn't understand why he helped her or why he always acted that way around her. Soon, the field was full of students. Fong Emo whispered, "Did you find your badge? The student council is checking uniforms. Don't let your hair cover it." Suddenly, someone shouted, "Lin Weixia." That's Zia's full name. The student council leader, a red-haired girl, called her out in front of everyone and asked if Zia had memorized the school rules. Then she said, "You have 1 minute to tie up your hair." Zia calmly replied that she couldn't tie her hair right now and that her teachers already knew her reason before she joined the school. The red-haired girl sneered, "Are F students getting too confident now? Do you think the student council can't control you?" Then she stepped closer and mocked, "Or are you so poor that you can't even afford a hair tie?" The crowd started laughing cruelly, calling Zia names like beggar and shameless. But Zia stood firm and said, "I already told my teachers about my situation. If you have a problem, ask them." The redhead got angry and said she would tie Zia's hair herself. She stepped forward, but suddenly someone grabbed her hand. It was Sejia. She looked serious and said, "Please stop using your power to bully others. Don't pick on Zia." The redhead looked shocked. "Why are you defending that F student? What is she to you?" Sejia remembered the night when she was crying in the rain and Zia came to help her. With confidence, she said, "She's my friend." Everyone gasped. The redhead frowned and walked away, muttering about what was so special about that F girl. Zia felt so happy that Sejia called her a friend. Meanwhile, a few boys were watching from a distance. One said, "Wow, if Young dated Sejia, he'd become super popular." Another added, "That new girl, Zia, is pretty even though she's an F student." Then a blonde boy smirked and said something mean, "F girls are easy." Just buy them expensive stuff and they'll fall for you. He even made a rude comment about Zia's legs. Before he could finish, someone grabbed his shoulder hard. It was Banshong, glaring at him. "We need to talk," he said coldly. The blonde went pale, and they walked away. The next day, rumors spread around school that Bansheng had fought the blonde guy because of the awful things he said about Sejia. Later, Banshong's friend ran excitedly into his classroom. "Boss Ban," he whispered. "Is it true you fought that blonde idiot because of Sejia?" Bansheng didn't answer. He just stared at him quietly. The boy got nervous and said, "Oh, okay, never mind. I won't ask again." Trying to change the topic, the boy peeked at Banshong's desk and gasped. "Whoa, you got 98% on the test." Zia, sitting behind them, looked up curiously. The boy asked Bansheng to share his secret. Bansheng just tossed a milk carton to him and said, "Drink milk. It'll make you smarter." Zia couldn't help smiling. She found it funny. She was also impressed. The tests at that school were really hard. If Bansheng scored that high, he must be really smart. She realized she would have to study hard to catch up. Then Banshong pulled out a cup and mixed soda with something called pickled plum juice. His friend made a face and said, "You like that salty drink?" Bansheng smirked and said, "Yeah, I've started liking salty drinks more than sweet ones lately." Zia's hand froze. She smudged the math problem she was solving. "That was the same drink I gave Sejia for Bansheng the other day," she thought, blushing. Later that day, during break time, Zia and Sejia were walking through the hallways. Sejia asked, "Hey, did the student council bother you again?" Zia said no, and Sejia smiled, but asked curiously, "By the way, how did you find your ID badge?" Zia explained, "Actually, I didn't find it. Banshong made me a new one. I don't know why." Sejia said dreamily, "He's such a kind guy. He started working in business when he was really young and helped design our school uniforms. His family's super rich, so he definitely didn't help you for money." Zia nodded, but before she could reply, Sejia blushed and said shyly, "Please don't tell anyone, okay? I've liked Bansheng for a long time. He's different from other boys. He loves the stars so much that he once spent 2 whole months looking for one special star." Bansheng wasn't just smart. He had also traveled around the world to practice diving. Sejia sighed and said she couldn't even understand how to read the coordinates of a star, let alone dive in the ocean. She felt sad because she couldn't understand Banshong's hobbies. Zia gently held her friend's hand and said, "I'm not great at cheering people up, but please don't try too hard for that boy." Oh no, it was going to be tough, because Sejia was totally in love with Bansheng. Then, Sejia held Zia's hands and begged, "Please help me make him like me." 2 days later, Zia and her friend Emo were walking out of class. Emo said, "You're really lucky. You found your ID badge and Sejia helped you when the student council tried to scold you. That would have been hard for an F student like you." Zia explained again, "Actually, I didn't find it. Banshong gave me a new one." Before she could finish, a girl called out, "Wei Xia. It's Shinran's birthday this weekend. You're invited." Shinran is the red-haired student council leader. Zia politely said, "Sorry, I already have plans this weekend." The girl rolled her eyes and said, "Whatever. I just had to invite you," and walked away. Emo was surprised. They never invite F students. "Maybe you should go." Zia shook her head. "My family runs a grocery store, so I help out on weekends." Later, Emo and Zia talked about how Banshong designed the school uniforms. Emo said that's probably why the bow ties have different colors. Zia didn't know much about it, but she remembered someone saying it was an old school tradition. Back in class, Sejia showed her phone and asked, "Did you get invited to the party too? We could go together. Bansheng will probably be there." Zia started typing. I said no, but then she remembered that she promised to help her friend win him over. So she deleted it and just wrote, "Okay." A few minutes later, the boy in front of Zia dropped a notebook on her desk. Inside was a note from Bansheng. It said, "Thanks for the money, but I don't take cash. Here's my WeChat ID." He had even returned the money she gave him. Zia stared, a bit confused, then quietly added him on WeChat. That night, she sat on her bed, looking at her phone. She had sent the $12 through WeChat, but Bansheng hadn't accepted it yet. She sighed, thinking, why hasn't he received it? And decided to sleep. Then buzz. Her phone vibrated. Excited, she grabbed it, but it was just Seijiya asking, which outfit should I wear to the party? The blue one, the pink one, or the black one? Zia smiled and replied, the black one looks best on you. Right then, a message popped up from Bansheng. He still didn't accept the money, but he sent her a location pin, probably where the party was, and said, don't take the wrong road. Zia hid under her blanket, her face red. How did he even know I was going to the party? The next afternoon, Zia waited at a small bus stop near the mountain where the party was happening. She texted Seijiya, saying she was at the bottom of the mountain and asking her to come get her, because Zia had a terrible sense of direction. But Seijiya didn't reply. The sky was getting darker as the sun set. Finally, Seijiya picked up the phone, but the loud music from the party made it hard to hear. She shouted, sorry, I can't come get you. I'm busy. Zia sighed. It was too dark now, and she decided to go home instead of getting lost. Just then, a black car stopped in front of her. The window rolled down slowly, and inside sat Bansheng, wearing a black hoodie. He leaned on the window and asked with a small smile, are you lost? The car drove along the bright mountain road. Zia and Bansheng sat quietly in the back seat, not saying a word. The driver warned, be careful, young master. This road has lots of sharp turns. As the car sped around a curve, Zia slid to the side and accidentally bumped into Bansheng. Their faces were suddenly very close, like a scene from a movie. Then Zia noticed a small cut on his finger from a cactus. She quickly looked in her pocket, saying, I'm so sorry. The cactus hurt you, and handed him a pink band-aid. Bansheng opened it with his teeth and stuck it on his finger. Zia asked, weren't you already at the party? I saw a photo of you there. He replied, yeah, I went out to help Shinran's brother buy something. Also, to check if someone didn't get lost. Zia blushed hard. He came for me. The car finally stopped in front of a huge mansion that looked even bigger than the car itself. Bansheng got out and started helping his driver carry boxes, since the old man had back pain. Zia offered to help too, but the driver said, no, it's fine. Bansheng handed her some balloons instead and said kindly, you can carry these. Zia smiled, admiring how thoughtful he was. Then he glanced at her and asked curiously, was that cactus you brought earlier supposed to be Shinran's birthday gift? Zia felt sad when Bansheng asked about the cactus. It was a special gift she brought because she didn't have much money to buy anything fancy. She wondered if Ban thought it was a cheap or silly gift. Then Ban suddenly stepped closer, making her blush. Before she could react, he gently took the cactus from her hands. Zia gasped, hey, what are you doing? Ban smiled and said, this cactus pricked me earlier. Maybe it just wants to come with me. Before Zia could answer, he handed her a gift box and said she could give it to Shinran, the birthday girl. He explained, she really wanted a signed photo from her favorite idol. Zia started to protest, you can't just make me give your gift for you, but Ban cut her off, saying calmly, Shinran is allergic to cacti. Zia blinked, not sure if he was making fun of her or trying to help. Ban just looked back and asked, you coming to the party? She quickly nodded, yes. At the party, everyone wondered where Bansheng was because the birthday girl had already arrived. When he finally opened the door, Zia was walking right behind him. Everyone stopped talking and stared at them. People whispered things like, did she come with Bansheng and she must be using him for attention. Seijiya rushed over to Zia, saying, oh no. I didn't see your message earlier. I'm so sorry. Then she smiled at Ban and said, thank you for bringing my friend. Ban smiled softly, but didn't reply, then handed a box to his butler and walked away. Zia looked a little worried, but Seijiya told her, don't worry about it. He's just quiet sometimes. The birthday girl, Shinran, came over. Zia handed her the gift and said politely, happy birthday. Shinran looked annoyed at first. She thought inviting an F student was a mistake. But when she opened the gift and saw the signed photo from her favorite idol, her eyes lit up. She squealed, how did you get this? It's limited edition. Everyone started whispering, wow, she brought such a great gift. Zia tried to explain that Ban had given it, but Shinran interrupted her and said, "Relax. Go have some dessert." Still, Zia kept looking across the room at Ban. He was quietly eating candy and smiling to himself, thinking how Zia hadn't changed at all since they were kids. Later, Ban and a few friends were standing on the balcony. A blonde boy pointed to a girl sitting alone on a couch and said, "She's really pretty." "Who is she?" Another boy joked, "She probably feels lonely. Let's go talk to her." Ban doesn't care about F students anyway, so why should we? Ban's eyes turned sharp. He glared and asked coldly, "Do you want trouble?" The blonde got scared and said quickly, "If she's Master Ban's friend, then I'll stay out of it." Sejia happened to overhear everything. Her heart sank. She wondered sadly, why does Ban care so much about Zia? A little later, Zia was sitting and working on a puzzle when Sejia came over with a glass of orange juice. She said cheerfully, "I'm going to start giving Ban drinks every day." Trying to help, Zia said, "He likes that sweet milk from the blue and white carton." Sejia looked shocked. "How do you know that?" Zia laughed softly. "Everyone knows. He drinks it every morning. I just see the brand from my seat behind him." Sejia smiled in relief, thinking maybe she had overreacted. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the other side of the room. Everyone turned to look. A girl was surrounded by a group of boys. She held a small box of cookies, begging them not to take it. The blonde boy sneered, "Why are you hiding them? We just want some," and reached to grab it. The poor girl shook with fear, holding the box tightly. One of the boys kicked her from behind, shouting, "Answer him." She fell to the floor while the boys laughed cruelly. Zia clenched her fists and started walking toward them, angry, but then a hand with a pink band-aid caught her wrist and pulled her aside, pressing her gently against a wall. It was Ban. He was holding a cigarette in one hand and said firmly, "Don't run over there." Zia glared at him. "What are you doing? Can you see that girl's being bullied?" Ban replied quietly, "If you step in now, they'll only get worse. Someone else will stop them soon." Zia didn't agree. "But we can't just stand here and do nothing." Ban looked at her and then said, "Fine. Help me first." He held out his hand. "There's a cactus thorn stuck in my finger." Zia sighed, but helped him anyway, carefully looking at his finger. While she worked, Ban explained, "When you try to stop bullies like that, they'll just pick on the person more. It's better to wait for the right time." Zia frowned. What's the difference between watching someone get hurt and being the one who hurts them? Before she could say more, a voice yelled from across the room. It was Shinran, the birthday girl. She stood up for the girl on the floor, shouting, "Why are you bullying her? I told you she's my guest." Relieved, Zia smiled. "Good. She'll be okay now."